Video game maker Electronic Arts announcing a $55 billion deal to go private in what is set to be the largest leveraged buyout deal in Wall Street history, led by the sovereign wealth fund of Saudi Arabia.
It wasn't like EA was mismanaged. It wasn't like EA didn't have, sort of well understood catalysts. It's a little bit of a head scratcher.
Things happen, but he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that.
The interests of the United States are being exchanged for private income for the president's son-in-law. Is this hard to see?
This is a story of low standards, corporate greed, and international affairs. One that goes beyond what we, naive, powerless day-to-day Sims players, might never fully comprehend. What exactly happened that transformed those two letters we all knew so well into a loaded, incendiary term? EA, Electronic Arts, they were part of our lives when they made us feel cool, whispering in our ears that they were gonna challenge everything. We would have never expected them to challenge our loyalty, our trust as consumers, while actively betraying the trust of their own people, their employees. The story of the EA's buyout is one we're still witnessing as being written in this moment. Just hours ago, it was announced that a JP Morgan-led group of banks began marketing to investors a $5.75 billion loan helping finance the leveraged buyout of Electronic Arts. Do you remember September 2025? Well, honey, at that point in time, it was clear to the leaders of Electronic Arts that a consortium of investors, including Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, was highly interested in purchasing the company. So that's when EA's board of directors chose not to pursue competing offers. Back then, EA was still a so-called public company, as it had been since 1990. But what does that mean exactly? Well, in a nutshell, a public company is a corporation whose ownership shares can be bought and sold at the New York Stock Exchange. You know, the one where people are running everywhere looking like crazy hamsters who just drank free energy drinks. At least that's what I think it looks like, and that's what it looks like in movies. I mean, I'm not sure. I've never been there, honey. I am no Bethany Frankel. But beside a public IPO, being a public company also means disclosing financial and business information regularly to the public, distributing stakes in the ownership of the company to the public, and to the employees who are often rewarded for their hard work with shares. Public companies must meet mandatory reporting standards and disclose financial statements along with other public filings, plus the whole shareholders thing. Shareholders elect a board of directors that oversee the company's operation on their behalf, and this effectively means that shareholders can control many of the company's decisions. And I'm not saying that things were fabulous with EA while it was a public company. The direction of their decisions was following the industry's changes and trends with little to no care for the actual consumers. Because let's face it, the gaming industry is hostage to these gigantic publishers and their shareholders or their investors' decisions. The picture is the same as any other lucrative business nowadays. Milk the people out of money so they will not care about standing up for themselves. Set the lowest possible standard and continue testing the consumer's resilience. How much more can you push until they stop giving you money? But back to EA and back to September 2025. It's thanks to EA's decision to transition back into a private company that we got to meet today's protagonist. Some of us had the pleasure of meeting them before, that's true, but I know some of you got jump scared by this man. So let's start with him. Jared Kushner, the prince that never was, the diva of the locker room. The tall kid who's not asking for much just to play Monopoly with the fate of, genocide survivors.
In order to start giving jobs, we want to take these people. 85% of the aid of Gaza, 85% of the GDP of Gaza has been aid for a long time. That's not sustainable. It doesn't give these people dignity. It doesn't give them hope. And so we want to use free market economy principles. A lot of what President Trump spoke about that he's doing in America, we want to bring the same mindset, the same approach to a place like Gaza to give these people the ability to thrive and have a good life.
What a delight of a boy! He's Trump's son-in-law, and he was such a good boy to his papa that he even got a spot in the first Trump's administration. This obviously opened little Jared's horizons because, he's a very ambitious young man. He got to have play dates with the golden kids of the Middle East, building solid friendships and business deals with iconic, insanely famous, should I say universally wanted, dead or alive leaders? Yes, of course, honey, we're talking about Bibino and the prince, both often happily photographed in the company of slender Kushner himself. Don't you love it when the rich are all having fun together? Betting how much more blood they want to spill for their passion projects. Yeah, me neither. But for the sake of the story, in 2025, Jared was no longer a US government advisor to the president. He humbly went back to the kitchen to the role of loving father and dedicated husband to his wife Ivanka. As if, girl. I told you, our boy Jared, he is A for ambition. He's no H for homemaking. And Jared has a whole real investment firm running under his little pink ass. Affinity Partners was formed in 2021 by Kushner, who truly campaigned hard for the capital he needed. Cause what else do you do in an investment firm if not convince people to give you tons of money? Seriously though, these men would sell their families for a high enough bid, and then, regular people go and call out OnlyFans models. I mean, call out these guys. Anyways, can you guess who helped Jared find all the monetine that he needed to start his new shop? Yeah, you got it. It was the Saudi Arabia Investment Fund. What a shocker. And yes, they are the ones next in line to be read to filth because they are the other major player in this whole buyout. But before we do that, let's get this straight. 6 months after Kushner left the White House, the Saudi Investment Fund gave him $2 billion. But also, you gotta give it to Jared. He's the king of the Middle East. He thinks all conflicts over there can be solved with a nice Aperol Spritz altogether, Because here's what Jared is doing. He's getting all of that good, spicy Saudi Arabian cash, but he is also expanding his horizons into Israeli industry by investing into undisclosed Israeli high-tech companies and even hearing pitches from 13 to 15 Israeli startups. Even the Wall Street Journal wrote in 2022 that, quote, "It is the first known instance that the Saudi Public Investment Fund's cash will be directed to Israel, a sign of the kingdom's increasing willingness to do business with the country." I mean, look at Jared. Leave it to him and he would solve all conflicts by making a quick buck and, building a couple of skyscrapers. Unless his father-in-law decides to bomb everything that there is to bomb. But I know. We need a mouth cleanser. I know. Speaking for so long about Jared Kushner can only make you crave for some flavorless, saltless, boiled chicken. And no, I'm not up for that. So let me introduce you to the next beautiful player in this story. The one and only, His Royal Highness Mohammed bin Salman. A Virgo of all the signs in the zodiac, honey. As a fellow gamer, allegedly, the prince only wants to see the gaming industry prosper and people have fun, possibly looking away from whatever he's been doing over there at his palace, okay? Because as reported by several human rights organizations like Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International, the prince's country has a big problem with all the beautiful things in life. I mean, to be friends with Jared Kushner, you can't be, all there in your head. I get it. So it's true, the prince is far from perfect, but what are we gonna do? Hold it against him that his regime has people disappeared because they tweeted bad stuff about the government to a following of 100 people? Will we be mad because women in Saudi Arabia get persecuted and executed for simply wanting to be recognized as deserving of a normal, equal life? It's true, France cannot be perfect. Everyone has their flaws. Now, does the exploitation of hundreds of migrant workers that is enabled and allowed in Saudi Arabia matter? I mean, does anybody still care about how much money the people who build our infrastructure and package our Amazon orders earn? Well, certainly not the prince, especially because he has bigger fish to fry, honey. Because while we were all focused on speaking the words on our lips and feeling the rain on our skin, the Saudi prince was busy purchasing more and more stakes in a bunch of places. Just because. Right? Through the Saudi Arabia Investment Fund, the prince is not only taking Kushner and the Trumps out for dinner, but he's also establishing himself as a constant presence in the international investment landscape, including the gaming industry, which is an industry that makes some good, big money. I mean, as per just hours ago, quote, Saudi Arabia firm EGDC now owns 5% stake in Capcom. Saudi Arabia's public investment fund has held another 5% since 2022. But it's not just Capcom, GTA maker Take-Two Interactive, they have stakes there. Nintendo, they have stakes there. Ubisoft, they have stakes there. Niantic, they have stakes there. And finally, Electronic Arts. They're about to fully own it. And do you know how this unprecedented buyout became possible? I know you don't have to guess. It was thanks to Jared Kushner, of course. It's almost as if, I don't know, but it's almost like the rich are playing a friendly round of volleyball using everyone else's money and lives as the ball. How peculiar. So let's talk about this freaking buyout, baby. Now picture this. Jared and Mohammed go to Andrew Wilson. Yes, we're using Andrew Wilson as like a representative for the whole EA in this metaphor. So they go to Andrew Wilson and they hug him real tight. And they whisper in his ear, "We will fill you up. All the good stuff you want, we will give it to you." But the truth is that once Andrew said yes, everyone could see that all they left him with was a disgusting, huge, stinky stain of debt. Yes, this was the best metaphor I could think of. But to put it a little bit more factually, the new ownership group will collectively contribute $36 billion, with the final $20 billion coming via debt financed through JP Morgan Chase Bank. The sale will take Electronic Arts off the stock market and place it into the hands of private equity investors. The move is called a leveraged buyout because a portion of the deal is financed through debt. There's a chance the company could kick on and generate profit or it might become overwhelmed by that debt and go bankrupt, which is precisely what happened when private equity firms purchased Toys R Us in 2005 in a $6.6 billion deal that settled the company with $5 billion in debt. So, honey, here are the implications that we, as final consumers, need to know about. Number one, it's not that these cruel, sociopathic men and their regimes will partially benefit from players' purchases. They will own the company privately. They will be able to do whatever they want behind closed doors, powered by the company's revenue, of course, which is indirectly the customer's money too. Number two, the presence of such an outstanding debt strapped on EA's back will not be fertile ground for innovation, for customer-centric projects. It's not going to be a time to think about communities, player bases, values, and all the things I believe The Sims fans care about. I mean, we're already seeing what they want to do with The Sims franchise specifically, while the buyout waits to be finalized. Microtransactions, an army of influencers and creators ready to go to war for them, but more importantly, ready to convince the populace about the quality of the products. Mobile, live service, pay to win, these are the most efficient ways they can come up with to start ensuring you have a special place in your heart and in your wallet for the good old EA challenge everything. And when the buyout bombshell was announced, the most curious thing happened to the Sims community. Leave it to some of these divas to win the Out of Touch award, because while the usual instigators like me almost combusted when they read EA, Kushner, and Piff all in the same headline, other dolls were very concerned for their gay Sims. And, don't get me wrong, okay? Being concerned for their gay Sims is a better take than I just don't care, take my money, EA, put it in, use no lube, please hurt me. I'll give them that, okay, sure. But girl, is the opinion, I hope they don't remove diversity from the Sims game, the most urgent thing in all of this? How about the actual disrespect of diversity in real life? How about that? I mean, are we okay? But anyways, the reason why I brought up this type of reaction is that I feel it encapsulates very accurately how the whole buyout conversation has been received overall in the Sims community. I don't know, it just seems that all the girlies are gay rights activists until they actually need to do something about it. You know? Believe it or not, my friend, the EA buyout is the end of an era, whether we like it or not. The bad guys sold themselves to even worse guys. Are they taking our favorite video game franchise down in the gutter with them? Yes, they are. So why stand for it? Why show agreement by engaging financially with their products? And yes, you might think that this whole EA is being bought by evil people frenzy only exists in the traumatized brains of selected gorgeous creatures. But it's not just us. No. I promise, I checked. EA's employees in the US and in Canada have spoken up, and I find it insane that this barely gets discussed by any mainstream Sims channels, But also, what else can the workforce at EA do apart from speaking through their unions, calling for government help? I mean, okay, they could email me, I would love that. But the official things they can do, they are doing them, and with no results at all, unfortunately. More specifically, in the context of Sims games, just last week, a whole team was allegedly laid off, and it was the team that was working on a mobile spin-off called Town Stories, people who had been working there for years. The employees are not happy with the buyout. They see an uncertain future. They are suspicious of the new leadership and they fear for their freedom of expression and the stability of their jobs. Because while going through this all mess of a buyout, EA has been signing deals with Gen AI companies just to, in case they need people to work but don't really want to pay humans to work, right? This story is a collapsing, raw chocolate souffle, one that you've been ignoring for years. Who cares? I'm just playing The Sims 4. I'm just buying all of these 300 packs for the game. A little treat. I deserve it. I get it. I mean, it's unfair. It's unfair that we get to be put in this position. It's unfair that we have to turn our backs on a game title that means so much to us. But at the end of the day, it won't be so hard to not engage financially with EA, right? What are you gonna give them money for, honey? A bunch of moolah coins? Girl, please, come to this side of the river. It's the real VIP area. We are witnessing something far from ethical. We are witnessing the demise of a legendary gaming publisher, and with it, the destruction of an equally legendary video game franchise. Now say it with me, baby. I despise human rights abuse. I care for people who are persecuted by their own government. I don't have 1 cent to donate in honor of Jared Kushner's friendship with men like the Saudi Arabia prince. I condemn the conflict of interest. I stand with the people who are screaming for somebody to look into this deal. And yes, I will vote with my wallet, so join me. It's literally free. That's the whole point of it. Boycott Jared Kushner, boycott the Saudi investment fund, and boycott EA.